Hello, everybody. Today's April 22nd, 2023. We have a beautiful, fantastic guest, Kristen Mangione. She's my friend, and she's been teaching, practicing Shiatsu and dance. She's finding Dance Alchemy. It's her trademarked Dance Alchemy. It's so interesting. We cannot wait to hear about it. Kristen, please share your creative idea, creative product. It's such a beautiful thing. Dance changes alchemy in the mind and the body and follow the 5 elements. It's such a beautiful thing. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimiko, for having me. And thank you, everyone. I'm very grateful to be here. As Kimiko just said, my name is Kristen Mangione. I had the great fortune to start this journey more than 20 years ago when I started my journey in Shiatsu, originally coming from a dance background. And everything I do is really now informed by energy awareness and movement and dance and connecting with the body. So a little bit about me. As you said, I am a dancer, I'm a choreographer. I have practiced Shiatsu since I started studying in 1999. And then I also, in addition to having a private practice, I was an instructor for a number of years. I was very fortunate and very lucky, very grateful to get to teach that for a number of years. I've also had a wellness center here in my community of Hoboken, New Jersey, where I live. Dance Alchemy for the Soul, which I'm going to be sharing a little bit with you today, both theory as well as experience, is a natural result of me practicing Shiatsu and practicing the 5 elements and practicing dance. It is all of those things for me coming together in my own personal expression. And what I want to share with you today, the intention is for us to, by connecting with our bodies, to reawaken and to heal and expand our own heart spaces, and to feel more connected with ourselves as a result of doing that. So the problem is sometimes as practitioners, for example, we're really required and expected, and it's necessary for us to not only support, but to give a lot, to be very open, to be very supportive. And these are all really beautiful things because these are all very heart-centered qualities. I would assert, are absolutely necessary for us to be effective and great practitioners, to make a difference for the people who we support. But what happens is that as we go through life, it's ups and downs, it's emotional highs, especially as well as lows. It's very normal for the heart space over time to be affected by these things. So by grief, by disappointments, by heartbreaks, by anger, any and all of these emotional things, which as practitioners, we know that if there's not a healthy outlet for moving emotion through the body, right, through our ki, it gets stuck. And the heart's tendency is that rather than working through things, it often tends to armor. Often unconsciously or semi-consciously, we begin to shut down a little bit in response to protect ourselves. So what happens is that we're less able to be really centered and passionate and compassionate within and for ourselves. And then we cannot be that as effectively 100% for others. So this today is a little exploration in why the heart space is so important. And we're going to look at that from several different models. We're going to look at that from the 5-element perspective, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with. We're also going to look at that from briefly from the chakra model, which you probably also may be also familiar with, another energy perspective. And then we're also going to look at it a little bit from the scientific research that's been being done about the last 25 years, where a lot of scientific research has measured. There is actually quantifiable data that shows why the heart space is so powerful and it's so important, both within ourselves as well as what we actually project out onto others, and that people can actually feel it. So we're going to look at all of that. And then with that, we're going to do a little experiential practice with Dance Alchemy for the Soul, a guided movement meditation, little movement. And then we're going to see what that does, how that alters our own sense of, do we feel different within ourselves? And do we feel different that we can connect even in this virtual setting? Okay. So to start with, I'm just going to change my screen view so I can see all of you. We're going to go ahead and start by just coming into our bodies, since we're so used to, as practitioners, really being centered in ourselves is the first, often most important thing that we can do. So I invite you to just sit comfortably as you are. And let's go ahead and just roll our shoulders a couple times. So as you're rolling your shoulders, forward, up and back, see if you can just breathe into your chest and maybe exaggerate that movement a little bit. And releasing any tension that you're holding, getting into your body. And see if you can also have it feel pleasurable. Beautiful. Good. And then start to let the shoulders just fall away from your ears. Let's go ahead and interlace your fingers, rotate your palms, and then reach them up above your head. Yeah, if you'd like, you can take your chin up slightly. Careful not to drop back in the neck, but just lengthen through your palms. So you're opening up the sides of your waist, your armpit area, that heart energy space. And let's lean a little side to side, just opening up the rib cage space. Beautiful. Release the clasp, and then let's lengthen the arms down out to the sides, like you're pushing the walls away. Just flex through your palms. Yeah. And now just for fun, rotate your palms so that your fingers lengthen back behind you. So you're getting a little bit more into those biceps, the triple heater or pericardium channel from meridian perspective, opening up the chest. Yeah, and then let's go ahead, cross your elbows, give yourself a hug. And then maybe tip the chin down towards your chest, just allowing that space between your shoulder blades to open up a little bit, maybe longer through the back of your neck. As you breathe in, can you imagine a little bit more openness between your shoulder blades? Good, and then let's tip the right ear, rotate it towards your right shoulder. Just feel a little longer through that left side of your neck. See if you can relax the opposite shoulder down. Beautiful. Rotate that chin back through the center and let's go the other way. Nice and easy, just letting gravity really let the shoulders drop. Beautiful. One more time, bring the chin back to the center, maybe feeling a little heavier in the upper body as you gently take that upper back contraction, softening forward. Heavy crown of the head. And then as you inhale, raising the head, rolling up through your spine, release your arms. Just let your hands and your arms fall. Good. And then let's take the fingertips and just do a little tapping on your chest. Little gentle thymus tapping. Ties into our immunity right above the heart space. And just let your intuition guide you here, just tapping anywhere that feels good. Working out, yeah, beautiful. Any kinks, any tension. Good. Just a few more. Maybe right around your heart as well. Right in between the pectorals. That feels good. Uh-huh. Yeah. And then start to wrap that up. And now just go ahead and gently, if you want to close your eyes, let your hands fall, let them rest, maybe on your lap or by your sides. And as you let your eyes just gently close, or you can also take a soft gaze towards your floor, just notice any tingling sensations. And just check in with your heart. Ask your heart, how is it feeling this morning or this afternoon or this evening? Notice if there is a word or a feeling, sensation that comes to mind. And then silently ask your heart, what would it like to receive in this experience? What is its intention for today? And let your heart's intuition just tell you. Doesn't have to make sense. Good. Take one more deep breath in. And then exhale, slowly float the eyes back open. Beautiful. Great. And just notice how you feel. A little bit of heart activation. All right. So we're going to start now by talking, as I said, a little bit about the different perspectives of the heart space, why it matters, and a couple different lenses to look through. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just 1 second. Okay. All right. Can everybody see that chart that has the heart meridian? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, fabulous. All right, sweet. So we're going to start with the 5-element meridian perspective. And I am quite certain that you are familiar with this. I'm going to assert that you are. So just a little review. The heart meridian, as we know, it governs the heart organ, as you clearly see in this diagram. And it also is not only important in that it governs one of the most influential organs in the body, right? We can only live for so long without the heart beating and pumping blood and circulating it to, especially to our brains, oxygen and blood. But it also is said to house the Shen, or the spirit. So literally said that by nature, this is really a sacred space and a sacred function that connects the body, mind, spirit. It also controls and governs our emotions and capacities for joy, for melancholy, the kind of flip side of joy, when we feel that kind of sadness that can accompany joy at times. Also, of course, it's said to do with our self-expression, our core values and beliefs, what we love. And I would invite you to think about an experience of when you know that your heart energy is fully engaged. Is there a particular activity or thing that truly lights you up that you love, where you know it's a demonstration your heart energy is being activated? And actually, since we're a small group, I'd invite you to unmute yourself, and I'd love to hear what that is if you're willing to share. What's something that activates your heart energy? Please.
Yeah, for me, I think time in nature and also time with my dog when they're yeah. And
Beautiful.
of course there are people, but that's just what jumps to mind.
Yes, that's beautiful. It's perfect. Yeah, being in nature. And I'm just struck by you said with your dog, because animals are such a demonstration of unconditional love. And love, of course, is a very big expression within the heart space. So perfect. Thank you. Lovely. And Kimiko, anything for you? I don't want to put you on the spot, by the way.
Wow, I love the energy. I love Shiatsu. I love my daughter, but sometimes she gives me hard time. Yeah,
Yes.
I love
Yes.
her. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, those we love. And of course, this bottom, thank you, this bottom point here, connection to not only ourselves, of course, but to others, right? Our families, our loved ones, supplemental fire aspect of heart, our ability to relate, to be in relationship, to experience compassion as well as intimacy. And of course, those some of those deeper relationships that do challenge us, call us and trigger us, and call us sometimes to grow. Yes, so all aspects of heart. So now we've talked about heart from the meridian perspective. Let's shift and talk a little bit about the heart from what's called the chakra perspective. So the chakras, if you're not familiar with them, or a little review if you are, those are the 7 energy centers, starting at the tailbone and going up 7 basically energy spots that correspond to particular glands in the body that go all the way up to the crown of the head. This is from the Indian Ayurvedic tradition. Now, what is interesting to note in this particular point of view is that the heart is the 4th of the 7 energy centers. So it is literally the midpoint, starting from the tailbone, going up to the lower abdomen, into the solar plexus, and then we arrive at the center of the chest, the heart. So it is said to be the bridge. It's the bridge, especially for ourselves and how we connect to others and to the world. So if you think about in your practice, when you connect with someone else, because you are bringing your energy, your ability to connect, right? Unless you're doing self-care, self-shiatsu, that's totally a personal endeavor. But anytime you especially are connecting and entering someone else's energy field and they yours, it is by nature a very heart-centered practice from this particular model. It's also said within this system of the chakras, it's the bridge, it's the bridge between our individual self and what's called the transpersonal. So it's where we stop being so focused with our own individual needs and concerns, right? The lower chakras govern things like our sense of security and satisfaction and willpower. When we get to the heart, we are taken out of ourselves and our own really primarily egocentric, not bad, but just egocentric, self-concerned perspectives. And we start to be aware that we exist in relationship. So in relationship with others in the heart, and then as we go into the throat, in relationship with our truth, expressing our self-expression out in the world. What do we care about? And are we sharing it with others? Are we known for it? Do we share it freely? Until we come to the brow, which is about vision. And then finally the crown, which is about greater consciousness, greater universal connection. So the heart is really a crucial place in which we get out of our own individual space for something far more impactful to take place. It also has to do, I'm going to stop and ask for if you guys have questions in a second. And then I'll, because since we're a small group, I want to also open this up a little bit to a little bit of dialogue. It also, of course, has to do with our capacities for love, just like the heart meridian, heart energy, and compassion, and our own internalized sense of self. Now I'm going to turn this into a inquiry question. Why do you suppose that this would have to do with our internalized sense of self? If you had to guess, why does the heart energy also affect our own sense of who we are? Any guesses? I'll give you a hint. Relationships. So in the chakra development model, and this is, by the way, from a book called Eastern Body, Western Mind, which I highly recommend. It's a fantastic resource about really looking at the chakra system from also a psychological Western development perspective. The heart energy and the heart chakra are said to really start to come into development right when we're about 4 to 7 years old. So Kamiko, when Kylie was about 4 years old, did you notice that she started to be aware, oh, if I do certain things, mom responds this way. Mm-hmm. Or if I behave certain ways, like they become social. Mm-hmm. Yes. So consider we all went through this process. And the place where this begins is generally in our family systems. We receive a lot of immediate feedback from our caregivers and or siblings and our families. And then eventually when we go to school, our playmates, about which behaviors elicit certain responses. So a lot of this is how we develop our sense of self, our personality, how we just unconsciously often behave and engage with others or don't engage. So a lot of the relating that we do, as well as who we think we really are. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, I feel like I'm saying a lot to you ladies. Any questions or feedback so far? What are you hearing? Again, since we're a small group, I want to open this up to a little bit more dialogue.
It reminds me a little bit about the Enneagram and how personality is reflected by, I suppose, how like you say, like if you were a good child and did what you were told, then you got this, or if you weren't, if you decided you're going to have a tantrum, that you also got what you needed, or it reminds me a little bit about how the two can connect in your development.
Absolutely. That's a great example. And thank you for that, of another theoretical model that's been put on as a way to interpret what is so demonstratable, and that as human beings is just really we all have our own individual flavor of our experience of that. Yeah, great. Very good. All right, let's shift now to talk about the heart in our hands. So particularly as practitioners, these, as we know, are integral, right? And interesting that whether you're doing Shiatsu or a lot of other energy modalities, I'm thinking of Reiki, for example, is just one example, but anything where there is energetic communication through touch, take a look at, as you can see, I'm sure you're familiar with already all of these heart points, right? That are literally in the palm or the fingers of our hands, that we're engaging heart energy as we touch and we connect with our receivers. So starting with heart constrictor or pericardium number 8, right in the very central of the palm, that inner edge line of the heart extension, right? Heart points 7, 8, and 9. going over to small intestine 1 on the side of the pinky, as well as we have triple heater or triple burner number 1. And in addition to all this, in the chakra model, the hands are said to be the subchakra of the heart. So they literally are a channel and a vessel for the heart energy coming through our palms. So a lot of interesting correlations to why touch is so powerful. And if you've ever noticed that when you practice, if you feel a change in your hands, if your hands get warm, or if you feel a little bit of vibration, I remember, and I'll share this with Kamiko, we've known each other for a long time. When I was doing my case studies, I had multiple people who would say, do you heat your hands before you give your sessions? And I would always crack up because I was like, no, I don't know. So there's a thing about circulation and ki, right? So you may have experienced that, both of you, that because ki is flowing, it changes the sensation in the hands. So just interesting to note. Kimiko, have you experienced that also? I'm sure you have. Yeah, so very, very, it's extraordinary. I'd say it's one of our superpowers. All right, let's talk a little bit now about the scientific model. So I'm going to call this the heart field. And this is a couple points that are from an organization called the Heart Math Institute. They've been around for about 24 years. They're a nonprofit, and they have done extensive research, quantifiable research data they produced about the rhythm of the heart and measuring the heart's magnetic and energy field. So one of their findings is that the heart actually communicates regularly and immediately back and forth with the brain. So Western traditional models, 18th century, I think therefore I am, the idea was that the brain was the controller and it was always sending signals to the body. But this shows and demonstrates the heart is actually far more influential. It's actually a partner for the brain. Now, as Shiatsu practitioners, I would assert we already kind of know this intuitively. Between the heart and the hara, we know that there's a lot more cellular and energetic intelligence that's going on far beyond our brain, but they're really in dialogue with each other. Also, your heart rhythm shifts, of course, according to your emotional state. Not a surprise if you've ever experienced shock or upset. Immediately your heart rate changes, right? And you can feel it. You might feel all of a sudden panicked and like your heart is beating 1,000 miles a minute, or you may feel suddenly sad and apathetic and everything just kind of goes into like a blur and you go numb. So it'll shift according to your emotional state. What's interesting about that is how these patterns have a direct influence on your brain. So have you ever been so emotionally upset that you can't think straight? That's why. It changes the blood flow and the cognitive neural functioning in your thinking cerebral cortex brain. So you may find yourself emotionally reactive. You may find yourself making irrational decisions, or you can't make decisions. That's a big part of it. The heart has literally gone crazy, so to speak. And the reactive, deeper limbic and reptilian survival brain functions just start going on overdrive. So last thing I want to say about the heart field for now is that it casts a magnetic field 5,000 times greater than the brain. Interesting. Yeah. So if you ever had the experience that you walk into a room and someone that maybe you don't know yet, but you just feel really drawn to them, you kind of feel like, oh, who's that person? I should go talk to them. Like you're at a party or something or whatever, or an event. It's one possible model. Their energy field, their heart field, and your heart field are in what's called coherence or resonance. It's like radio frequencies on the same frequency. You are drawn vibrationally to certain individuals. And I would assert certain situations, right? We're talking about attraction that actually happens. Now, in our practices, this is important because you may notice that certain clients, receivers, people who you support, your sense of connecting with them, this can be utilized and it can be enhanced. You may have people that you practice Shiatsu with who you just feel like as soon as you start and you get on the mat, they're on the mat, it's like a symphony. You just flow together as one. That's heart energy coherence. You may have other people who it's just like, oh, they do not want to let me in. And I'm just, okay, I'm just going to let that be. I'm just going to hold the space. But, you know, right. It doesn't have anything to do with you, of course, but it's just interesting to note that vibe that we get, whether in practice context or even just socially in a space. You could look to this as this is a possible explanation. No. Before we go any further, any questions or comments about any of this? What are you hearing? Good. All right, fabulous. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my actually, no, let me say one more thing, but before I do that. So what we're going to do in this exercise now is I had said we're going to do a little experiential practice of what I call Dance Alchemy for the soul, which is basically this guided movement meditation to connect with our heart spaces. And the reason we're going to do this today is that as I said earlier, when you experience just the natural ups and downs of life, the disappointments or any of these little wounds that start to armor the heart, often unconsciously, they can just get stuck there. And because they're often just kind of there without us even remembering, they have these little ripple effects, often in how much we can just really be open and have our own sense of capacity for joy and fulfillment and how we connect, right, with others, with our clients. So we're going to explore a little bit of that today through movement and energetic awareness of our hearts. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back so I can see you ladies. Great. Now, before we begin, there's one other thing I want to do, and that is I want to just test my computer audio with you. If you will indulge me, Zoom does not like music very much, but I played around with something. So what I would like to do is just see if you can hear me and this little bit of background music. And if it's not ideal, that's totally fine. I can still do it from just verbally guiding you, but I want to just give this a try and see if it works. Okay. All right, so if you can hear my voice okay and the music, give me a thumbs up, please. No. Okay. 1 second. Ooh. 1 second.
I can hear it now. There was a delay.
Ah, so you could hear a little bit of the music?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I think it's okay. That was okay. So that wasn't ideal. So I'm gonna do plan B, which is I'm gonna use my voice, and we'll just forego the music. So let's go ahead and I invite you to come to stand so that we have some space. Oh, and the other thing I want to say as we do that, as we come to stand, let me tell you a little bit about the context of this. So this is not a traditional dance class. I'm not going to teach you choreography or steps. I am just going to verbally guide you through some different movements with a specific intention and attention. I'm actually going to invite you at certain points to close your eyes. So I make sure that you have a little bit of space around you, like no furniture or electrical cords or anything like that. Just make sure that you're safe. You won't need a ton of space, but just a little bit of room. Great. And the other thing is that the intention and the way that this alchemy, this dance alchemy works is that as you're going through your own interpretation of doing what you hear from my words, you're going to use your imagination. And I want you to focus on how it feels. So as you focus on how it feels, you may have memories, thoughts, your intuition may draw up things. And this is basically because your subconscious and your unconscious they have a space to start bringing things up to your conscious awareness. So as we go through this, I invite you to just listen and notice to how everything feels and your response to it. And whatever shows up for you, your response, that is your gold. That's your alchemy. That's your information. And I always say that whatever anyone discovers in this process, it's perfect for you because it is a very individually guided, very personalized experience. Okay? All right. Great. So let's go ahead and then come to stand. And just stand with your feet about hip width apart. You can just let your arms hang by your sides. If you'd like, you can even close your eyes for a moment. Maybe soften your knees slightly. And just feel the soles of your feet spreading against the floor. And now with your knees soft, you can just maybe reopen your eyes just a little bit. And then I want you to just start floating your weight a little from one leg to the other. So you're shifting your pelvis and your hara, the abdominals, a little side to side a few times. So just get a sense of your feet grounded and connected to the floor. Feel the weight shifting through your pelvis. And then let's go ahead and start to circle the pelvis a little bit. So feeling soft in the hips. As you rotate, you're just warming up the hip joints. Good, and then reverse. Nice, and then let's try a little figure eight with the hips and the pelvis. So you're making a little infinity symbol, just shifting the pelvis around. Let the arms be heavy. And now let's let this go up into the rib cage. So the hips, the pelvis, the ribs. And then see if you can take it all the way up into your shoulders. So the figure eight dripping up for the pelvis, the hips, shoulders, ribs. Maybe let your fingertips kind of graze the air as you move. And then let's let that go and then start to rotate one arm at a time back behind you as if you were doing a backstroke. Leading with your pinky fingers. So opening up that heart line through the arms. Opening up the shoulders, the armpit. And let the arms come down. And then with loose fists, let's give a little tap to the top of your head. Just waking up all those little cells. And then start to bring your palms back down to the back of your skull, where it sits on top of your neck, your spine. And then let's go down the back, back along the spine. As you do this, just finding any areas that feel like they're holding tension. So if you can release a little bit more. And then let's do the outsides of the legs, thighs, hamstrings. All the way down, tops of the feet. Until finally, intuitively, you can just kind of tap anywhere. It feels like energy wants to move. Also, don't forget about your arms. Both palm up as well as palm down. Maybe really getting into those heart, absolute fire and supplemental fire lines, the middle and the back lines of the meridian energy lines. Yeah, good. Just a couple more taps. Make sure you've covered your whole body. Waking everything up. Beautiful. Great. And then let's go ahead and come back to the chest, heart area. Maybe switch to fingertips if that feels better for you. Notice how tapping on this area feels. There's a lightness or an openness, or conversely, it feels heavy. Yeah, beautiful. And then gradually, please go ahead and start to close your eyes, or you could also just look towards your floor. Start to shift your attention a little bit more inward. And then let the arms and the hands just gently fall and rest, let them hang. Noticing any little tingling sensations. Notice your own sense of your heart space. Notice if you feel any vibration, tingling. Everything is energy, vibrating, pulsing into infinity, composed of wave patterns intersecting with each other, amplifying or canceling, adding to or subtracting from each other. All forms of nature, as well as the body, are frequency vibrating patterns that have their own unique impact on others. The heart radiates a magnetic field 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. And this field not only envelops every cell of the body, but also extends out in all directions into the space around us. With your eyes still closed, I'd like you to take your non-dominant hand. So if you write with your right hand, this would be your left hand, for example. And I want you to imagine that you're drawing and pulling a little string from your heart with your left fingertips, a couple inches out from your body. So between maybe your thumb and forefinger, you're holding the string that's connected to your heart. And now with your eyes still closed, I want you to imagine and play moving the string so that it moves your heart. As you move the string in your fingers, it leaves your heart. And just play with this idea. And just see how subtly, or maybe much larger, what are the possibilities of moving your heart space by moving and pulling the string? And notice as you do this, how does it feel? Can it move on a higher level, a medium level, or maybe a lower level? And now as you continue to move, I want you to imagine now that your heart is also able to gently draw the string back. So rather than the heart just being passive, being pulled by the string, there's a little bit more of a natural give and take. Your finger holding the string and your heart are like partners. So there is a dynamic flow and tension, bringing the two together. As you play with moving the two as partners, see how this feels. And now start to find a little completion with this movement. Keeping your eyes closed, gently let go of the string. Let your arm and your hand relax. And just start to let the space around your heart soften. Can you imagine letting the heart space close a little bit on itself? Maybe protecting it. See if you can start to let that space become a little more hidden. Protecting it. And maybe this changes your posture. Notice if it changes the whole or any feeling in your body, how you're holding your body. Any thoughts, feelings, memories, sensations. Closing down and protecting the heart. Now, carefully and slowly, I'd like you to make your way to the floor. You can crack your eyes open if you'd like, just for safety. And then as you come to the floor, I'd like you to come to a crawl position. And if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and close your eyes. And then this time I'd like you to imagine that there is light shining from your heart. As you move your heart, as well as your body, your hara, your abdominals, the light is cast differently and on different places on the floor. Can you play a little bit just through crawling, shifting your weights, casting your heart's light into different parts of your floor? What if you could write your name by casting this light? Imagine casting it onto the floor. See if you can play with that idea. Let your heart space cast a light. And then start to let this gently fall away. And from your crawl position, just gently make your way to sit comfortably, maybe on your floor. As you come to sit, seiza, cross-legged, however you feel comfortable, just take a moment and just come back into your own body. If it's comfortable, you can still have your eyes closed or maybe just downcast at your floor. Again, breathe into this space in your chest, observing any shifts, change in awareness. And now while sitting, I'd like you to turn your palms to face up. And then just gently let your palms rotate forward, connecting with your imagination, your palms and your heart area, these places of heart-centered, heart energetic connection in our systems. And I'd like you to just imagine sending out that same heart's light through your heart center, through your palms, to the rest of us in this virtual gathering. Imagine sending that heart energy, that heart resonance and then also imagine receiving it back. Noticing the ongoing, constant back and forth, giving and receiving. from the open heart space. Take one more deep breath in. You can slowly relax your hands, your palms. And then when you are ready, gently reopen your eyes and you can come back.
Oh, thank you, Christine.
You're welcome. So I think, do we have a few minutes just for some?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that's what I thought. So I have two questions that I invite you to, if you want to share either in the chat, or since we're a small group, we can also just chat. The first is, did you notice anything about your heart space? It's opening, it's protecting. How did it feel?
It was interesting when you asked, yeah, sorry, I was just checking if I was muted. It was interesting when you asked to close your heart and to see how that felt, because I immediately found myself frowning and and getting smaller, physically smaller. It took a while, but I'm like my head dropped and I felt my shoulders rounded, and I kind of went recoiled, and it didn't feel good. It felt hard. It didn't feel like it lost its softness.
Beautiful. You know, what's so interesting is that when I was preparing this and I had that image, that what you just described in the posture change is exactly, I didn't cue to do that, but one, that's exactly what I also did. And two, that was like, if I were to give directives, that would be exactly what I would ask people to do. So it's just really interesting that there are certain posturings that are very connected to the experience. So thank you. That's really extraordinary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Great.
Yeah, I felt my muscle was opening, and I said, close your heart, and I felt my muscle got tightened. And
Yes.
also position has changed. I felt before it was opening, more relaxed. And then you said closed. And then I felt like my breathing became shallow, fast.
Wow.
Please,
Wow.
don't say again. And I was praying.
Yes.
For openness.
Open, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And I can hear in both of your shares, it's such a beautiful demonstration by contrast of when we are open, right? It's our whole state of being, as well as physiologically, it changes, right? The breathing, and, you know, of course, there's, you know, lots of research about how important it is that we have full breath and how it feeds our cells and our brains and all of our organs. So it's very interesting how impactful the emotional state, which is so, I would assert, so connected to the heart, can really change our moment by moment reality. My other inquiry question is, was there anything else you noticed? Sensations, reactions? This is not necessarily for a lot of people something you jump into. So I always put it out there. What did you see, notice, or get? Was there something else for you? Can be anything.
I just noticed as well what at the start, what didn't move, what wasn't free. So what like, it was very obvious to me how it felt was that my spine was moving and I was spiraling, but my arms were close to my body. So I mean, in a way, it's kind of a little bit hard even to admit to yourself and to kind of free myself. I felt that there was something holding me back in the movements as well as some areas being free.
Beautiful. It's a really the really connecting the awareness for self, and to recognize that through recognizing the actual what's happening in real time in the body is very powerful. Thank you for that. I also hear a lot for myself in that too. The inquiry about the degree to which are we allowing ourselves to be free.
Yeah. And I also felt like it was a fabulous movement to do that infinity circle, because I felt like a Sufi, like the Sufi dance.
Oh,
Like it was like swirling.
lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. I have to credit from Shiatsu. That was the first place I think I ever encountered that, Kimiko, 20 whatever years ago. And I can tell you it's stayed with me. It's something I find I always am drawn to as far as a movement. And I just choreographed a piece about my first of a series about the opening of the heart space. And the very beginning is that infinity symbol. So it's just interesting. There's something about that movement. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I felt heat at the end of the movement.
Oh.
It was nice.
Yeah, heat is, well, that's fire energy, right? Heart, for sure. Beautiful. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I always say that every gathering is perfect. So I hope that this was of value for you both today. It was such a privilege and a pleasure to be with both of you. If you want to learn more about Dance Alchemy for the Soul, I'll put my website in the chat, and you can read about, I have more information about this particular heart energy project that I'm doing, which was a big inspiration for today. And does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll turn it back to Kimiko.
Yeah, Kristen, tell us where we can take your workshop.
Oh, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, know about it. I think more people needs to open their heart, and then they also close their heart. This is such a beautiful balance you showed us. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank
you. So, well, I'll be doing, I'm going to be doing a virtual workshop on May 16th. And that is going to be, I'm going to be doing an overview of the whole chakra system, focus, of course, on the heart. But it'll be Dance Alchemy for the Soul. So it will all be the same kind of experience that I shared with you today. About there'll be some theory, which may be some review for some people, will also be brand new for others. But that's one way, is that I have that online upcoming event. It's called Divine Play, Finding Clarity Through the Chakras. I also am going to be continuing with what I'm calling this Mapping the Heart project. So I'm going to be doing other upcoming more workshops with the heart energy, and I'm doing them primarily online because I know with this virtual world it makes things a lot easier, obviously with you in Ireland. Unless you're going to be in New York, so it makes it much more accessible. So those are two possibilities. I also have on my website another, if you're interested in this heart information energy, I have a little workbook. It's free that you can download right through my website. And it's got a very simple heart practice for opening the heart. It's called the heart opening gesture that I've included. And then there's a little assessment thing about assessing the state of your heart, which we didn't talk about today, but that's again from the chakra model, that's in there as well. So those are 3 resources currently all through my website that you can yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking.
You have a retreat workshop, right, Christine? You just
Not on the books yet, but I will be.
oh yeah,
Yes. Yes, that will 2024 for
oh
sure.
right.
There'll be something coming up. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This 2023 is I'm doing a lot more virtual workshops. I just did a experiential hybrid event last weekend, which also included my new choreography. So you can also, that's on my website, and you can also watch the replay of that. That's available as well. Yeah, but the retreat definitely coming up. Yeah.
So could you tell me your website again? What is
Absolutely. So it's my name. It's Kristen Mangione dance.com.
oh beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you,
What a
Kamika.
beautiful
Thank you, Elise.
Thank you very much.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. So great to be with you both. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Everybody be safe and happy. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.